Summer months are usually a pretty popular time for couples to get married, but
Yes.
throw in the backlog from the COVID-19 pandemic. We are living in what experts call a wedding boom.
Boom, and here was some advice on how to navigate this busy time. Whether you're planning a wedding or simply attending, we want to welcome back Matthew Treadle of The Wedding Guys. It's
Matthew,
so
it's great to have you back.
So great to be here.
This is amazing. You think about where we were a year ago and just like the crisis of your industry and all of these changes and then how you're feeling now. So let's talk about the causes of this boom. What's behind it? What do we need to be prepared for?
Well, there's two things that are in action right now. One, there was a whole pent-up demand of couples that wanted to get engaged and have weddings, but they kind of put their plans on hold because they wanted to wait until things kind of leveled out and they knew exactly what they were going to get themselves into as
Right.
far as planning the process. The other challenge is a lot of couples that had weddings or maybe a micro wedding during COVID are planning to do their sequel weddings now that things have opened up. So we're combining those two groups together, and there's only so many dates.
Yeah, right. So when couples who are planning a wedding right now are reaching out to vendors, what are these phone calls like? Are they hearing, sorry, not available?
So they're lucky if they get a sorry, not available. Vendors are so busy that there's a backlog in even being able to keep up with the calls and emails that are coming in. So couples have to kind of understand that vendors are trying to be as proactive as they possibly can to get return phone calls and return emails as quickly as they can, but they're doing so many weddings right now and through kind of the end of this year for sure, because everything's stacked up. People are opting for alternative wedding dates, so you're seeing people have weddings on a Thursday night.
That's a fun idea,
It
though.
is super fun.
I love Thursday nights. That's like, you know, something kind of exciting and it doesn't take up your whole weekend.
And so generally most wedding vendors maybe had one or two weddings a weekend. They might do a Saturday and a Sunday or maybe a Friday or a Saturday. Well, now they might have a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So imagine how much extra workload they're going through.
I was going to ask if there's anything that you can do as a couple to break through the white noise trying to get a hold of these vendors, but based on
Say
what
I'll
you're
pay
describing,
anything?
there's really not, though. Outside of that, there's nothing because it's truly just the work is very difficult for them to keep up with.
It is. And so what we've done, the Wedding Guys always have the couples back, right? So during COVID, we came up with a concept called Find the Date, where we actually contacted the vendors and found out what dates they were available. Worked really good for those couples that were rescheduling last year. Well, we see a challenge right now for couples just trying to find dates moving forward, and so we're relaunching that same concept. So we have venues and photographers listed on our website right now with the dates that are available, so that it will save couples time in just trying to track down what vendors are available for the times of years that they might be looking
Well, because
for.
how exhausting. I mean, you have enough decisions to make when it's planning a wedding, and if all you're doing is just trying to figure out who can possibly do it,
Right.
that's super stressful. So there are other lead times that are problems. I mean, so what, are we getting a run on like
laughs.
lumber?
The
Knee
supply
deep in this.
chain is crazy throughout every industry. So
Right.
what you're hearing like with wood and all of that in housing, same thing's happening in the bridal industry. So you definitely want to check with your vendors, particularly on lead times for dresses. A lot of the dresses are coming from outside of the U.S., and so the shipping times are longer. But if you need particular items, tents are a little bit challenging this summer just because there's so many that are being in use permanently for COVID reasons.
Sure. I
And a
didn't
lot of
think about
restaurants
that.
had expanded their seating outside during this time, and a lot of those tents are still up. And so that's
And your guests can't get a rental car when they come here. They might
Oh, I
wanna,
hear that those are, like, crazy
it's
expensive.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to really like think about those types of things.
Right.
With everybody, I wouldn't have thought of that extending to every single industry.
Yeah, it's pretty much across the board. So just you want to plan to have a little bit more lead time on things. The vendors are very helpful though in kind of navigating and giving you timelines on when you should be looking at things.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds like it might not be the time for a shotgun wedding. That we might just want to like have a little patience here and sort
Yeah.
of let the process unroll in its due time. What will the ceremonies look like post-COVID? We didn't know how long we'd be wearing masks. Everything changed so dramatically, and in May, what will they look like moving forward?
Yeah, everything opened up. And so there are a lot of couples that are a little uncomfortable with having everybody come to the wedding. So we're seeing people that are requesting that people that have been vaccinated be the ones that attend. People are still usually using the digital options for those guests that might not have been vaccinated.
Okay.
Not everybody can get vaccinated, and so there's concerns there for health reasons. So we're seeing people navigating that piece of it.
That's tricky.
Yeah, that's
And
tricky.
people have been requesting masks still. too. And so it's kind of, each couple is a little bit different in their comfort level, and it also depends on kind of, do they have elderly grandparents that they're concerned about, or other maybe immune compromised attendees.
So what are you recommending then? Because you're so good at like talking people through things like this. Like, do you think the couple needs to decide where their comfort level is
Definitely.
and then be really clear with guests? Because I would imagine the worst thing is guests wondering.
Right. So we're actually working on a wedding this fall for a couple that we're doing the planning process for. And what was really interesting is that was a very important piece for them. And so communicating in the save the date initially, giving people enough time to get vaccinated. Wedding websites are really popular right now, so just spelling out all of those details, kind of what the COVID protocol is going to look like, because we want the guests to be comfortable too.
So just like every restaurant has like a
Exactly.
COVID protocol, and you kind of know. I've said this from the beginning. I just think people want to know what to expect. Wherever you're
Because the worst
going.
thing is like when you're walking up to a place, do we need our mask here? Do we not? What's going on in here?
Yeah, what's going on? Are we going to be like, how does?
And you want
everybody
your
feel?
guests to be at ease. So the
Exactly.
more information that you can give them, and there's certainly lots of ways to do that now.
Well, you go from one of probably the slower professional years of your life last year, just from an events perspective, to probably just an absolute tailspin this year.
It is really crazy. One of the other really great pieces, though, is we're ramping up our shows again for the fall, and that's another really great way to find vendors.
Yes.
Because you can come through the show and find out who's available on your date all in
one
one
swoop.
location.
All in
So you don't
one.
have to wait for them to call you back
Yeah.
or draft that email. You can actually book your services at the shows. So
And we know
really
that if you
smart.
love them, that everyone will love those vendors. I mean,
Yeah.
you do such a great job, Matthew.
Matthew, great to have you here.
it's so great to be here.
We posted these tips and a link to the Wedding Guys website. It's all up. Go to twincitieslive.com, and when you're there, just click on Fun. Up